All right. Let me explain the differences between VUL Roth I and mutual funds. Let's assume that we're both investing in the S&P 500 index funds. So one is in Vanguard. If you pay taxes, it is the mutual funds, taxable mutual funds outside, or if you don't pay taxes. Or by insurance, it is a weak home. And then, or we are one. A 40-year-old buys Vanguard in his volumen. He is Maxim funding. Let's see which has the greatest impact on him, insurance or tax. Okay, let's see if we go out and buy Vanguard today. I used 30 years of data. Okay. Buying mutual funds means annual taxes due to annual dividends. Fund manager transactions incur capital gains tax. Consider both factors. Compare tax versus non-tax scenarios for Vanguard, 1980-2010, with $10,000 investment. Without taxes, $10,000 grows to $190,000. Cap to gain tax. So these two have to be considered. Now, what we need to do is to find out the difference between Vanguard paying tax and not paying tax. From 1980 to 2010, we put $10,000 in each. So if we don't pay taxes, that $10,000 would grow to $190,000. If you pay taxes, we use the 28% income tax. Add to that 21% capital gain tax, and your first year income will be $474. And then the capital gains, $324. After paying the tax, we have to pay $199 in tax. So the reinvest is only $593. That is $593 reinvest. And its shares can be purchased 37 counties. Then you can buy 50 counties here. So if you pay taxes every year, you can pay less taxes every year. The final result is, this is $199,000. So this is only $149,000 because the number of shares has dropped from 1,700 to 1,200. Then there is another problem. That is, if I want to sell all this money, all $149,000. After selling the $149,000, out of that, $10,000 is the principal that we've already paid taxes on. The reinvested amount over the years is $30,000, so $47,000 has not been taxed. After getting back the $149,000, Vanguard will report to the IRS that you have. So from the $149,000, you have $40,070 that goes to the IRS, and there's still $100,000 that hasn't been taxed yet. For that $100,000, you'll need to pay capital gains tax, which will be at least $21,000. So in the end, $149,000 minus $21,000 leaves you with only $128,000. So the tax-free account is nearly $200,000, while the taxable account is less than $130,000. So in the end, there's a difference of $70,000, which is about a 35% tax impact. All right. So what we mainly want to look at now is, so if we put this money in the VUL account, what's the difference between paying taxes and not paying taxes? We know that from 1980 to 2010, in a tax-free scenario, the net return is 10.5. How do we calculate that? It's taking $199,000 divided by $10,000 raised to the power of 30, and then subtracting 10.5. So during this time, if you invest in mutual funds without paying taxes, the return is 10.5. Now let's plug that 10.5 into our nationwide calculations to see how it performs. The performance grows at 10.5, but I have to pay taxes, right? So let's take a look at the best outcome. Yes, we have to pay the insurance premium. Now, I've already prepared the world, so let's use an example of a 40-year-old person. Good, if it is. For a 40-year-old, we know that this account has tax advantages. What's the maximum amount we can contribute? How much can we contribute at most? Well, in this case, I'm using the guideline single premium, which means how much can we contribute to this policy at most? Well, it's a bit slow, but you can see it. Uh, that's the maximum amount we can put in. 261864. Ah, this is the maximum amount of money we can put in. So our current interest is calculated as 10.5. Okay, 10.5 net interest is good. Okay, so that means after deducting the premium, the remaining money can grow at 10.5, but you have to pay a certain premium every year. As you can see, the first year's premium includes the front load and these annual charges. The remaining money grows at 10.5%. Okay. So after 30 years, how much will be in this account? We have this. After 30 years, I have looked back on this period. After 30 years, it's 477. After 30 years, it's 477. So the death benefit is 5.5. Let's remember this number, 4.77175. And the death benefit is 1. All right, let's take a look. So for the VUL, it's 4.77175, and the protection is 5.5 million, say. Now, if we go with this RUL and invest it in Vanguard, we would put this money in Vanguard. From December 1980 to December 2010. All right. Let's tackle this question. We can choose this option here. The spread to you should be hypothetical. We can choose Venka. Then we select 2 for comparison. All right. So how much can we invest each year? We can invest 261 to 64, huh? We start from December 1980. So 261, 1964, and then from the customer, December 5, 1980 by December 2010. Okay, now let's see what the situation is if we don't pay taxes. You see its return rate is still 10.5, right? But now we actually have 261,000. So what's the final result? It's 5.22, huh? So without paying taxes, it's 5.228411 that we put in, huh? So 5.228, 5.228411. This is Ross Cancer, which is equivalent to Ross. Right, this is VUL. Now let's see what happens if we do mutual funds ourselves. In that case, we would have to pay taxes at that point. We just mentioned. So how do we handle that? It's in this area of the eyes. We can calculate the income tax as 22 plus 6, which is 28. If we have to gain, it's 25 plus 6. So 21 comes out of this account. Right. Well, if that's the case, then how much do we have in the end? How much do we end up with in the end? There's a 3.9 million. I can't sell it because you have 260,000 yuan in capital and nearly 1 million yuan in tax. So nearly 1.3 orders have been taxed. So there are 2.6 orders of tax. There is a very convenient way here. You can do it. Here. There's a withdrawal option here, huh, customer? You can withdraw from this area in the last year. Let's say we take it out. Of course, we know there are about 3 million, huh? You could make a big withdrawal. Let's say 5 million, huh? Right? It will automatically calculate that for you. And in the end, how much can we have after we strengthen it? You can take out 5 million, but if not, the most you can withdraw is 3.4342641, right? So in the end, you can withdraw about 3,426, which is roughly 3.4. So in the end, we see that the result is still 10.5 over the past 30 years. Then if you put it in this In Roth, there is 5.2 million, but if it's in VUL, there's only 4.7 million because you have to buy insurance. However, you have a protection of 5.5, right? And this money grows tax-free, and when you take it out, it's also tax-free. Now, if you have a situation like this situation is almost non-existent, because this is an ideal scenario. It's either 1, or it's 1, or it's 2, which means buying insurance. But if you don't buy insurance, you have to pay taxes. So we looked at it, and if we pay taxes, only 3.4 million is left. So it's clear that we should buy insurance. We all should pay taxes, right? All right, I finished my part here. So we need to stop sharing. Then